I never thought a single act of kindness would change my life, much less involve my boss, her lost dog, and a reward offer that left me completely speechless. It all started on a cold Thursday morning when I found myself standing in the empty parking lot behind the office, drenched, exhausted, and holding a shivering golden retriever who had no idea he was about to flip my entire world upside down. But before I tell you how my boss looked me in the eyes and said, "What reward do you want? A kiss, maybe?" You need to know the story behind it. Because what happened that day wasn't about romance or rewards. It was about kindness, the kind that shows up when nobody's watching. Before we jump in, make sure to hit subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. Your support helps our channel, The Soulful Stories, continue sharing powerful, emotional stories just like this. My name is Nathan, and I've never been the type of guy who stands out. Not in the office, not in the neighborhood, not anywhere. I'm the quiet one who shows up early, leaves late, and mostly keeps to myself. I'm not a hero. I'm not special. I'm just me. My boss, on the other hand, Miss Carmichael, was the type of woman everyone noticed. Sharp, confident, always in control. She walked through the halls like she owned the air we breathed. People were terrified of her in the same way you're scared of a tornado, beautiful from afar, dangerous up close. And she had one soft spot in her entire world, her golden retriever, Max. Max was her baby, her emotional anchor, the one thing that softened her eyes and made her smile like a regular human being instead of a corporate hurricane. So when Max went missing, the entire office felt it. It happened early on a Wednesday. I was finishing some paperwork when she rushed in late, something she never did, with tears drying on her cheeks. Her hair was messy, her voice shaky. "Has anyone seen Max?" she whispered. Everyone froze. Nobody had. She posted flyers. She offered a reward. She cancelled meetings. She didn't yell at anyone for nearly 5 hours, which was unheard of. And for the first time, I saw someone not powerful, not fearless, not perfect, but human. A woman terrified of losing something she loved. That night, after most people had given up and gone home, I couldn't shake the image of her staring at her phone, waiting for a call that never came. So I did something I'd never done before. I went looking for Max. The sky was dark, a storm rolling in, and the streets shimmered with that wet silver glow from streetlights hitting the pavement. I walked block after block, calling his name like an idiot talking to the wind. "Max, here, boy!" Nothing. I searched alleys, parks, behind stores, even yards that definitely didn't appreciate a stranger wandering around in the rain. I checked the local gas station, the dumpster area behind the grocery store, anywhere a scared dog might hide. My shoes were soaked, my glasses fogged, and I was pretty sure a raccoon threatened me at one point. But I didn't stop. Something in me refused. Maybe kindness doesn't need a reason, it just needs a moment. Hours passed, my voice was hoarse, my arms were numb, and then I heard it, a faint whine. I spun around, listening closely. Another soft cry, coming from behind a chain-link fence near a construction site. I hurried over and there he was, muddy, shivering, paw slightly caught in some wiring. "Max," I breathed. He looked up at me with those warm, trusting eyes, like he'd been waiting for me specifically. I climbed over the fence, ignoring the fact that my pants were definitely ripping in the process, and freed his paw. He jumped on me, licking my face, wagging his tail so hard his whole body shook. I laughed for the first time in months. Carrying him back through the rain wasn't easy. He was heavier than he looked, but something kept me moving. Maybe adrenaline, maybe kindness, maybe the unspoken understanding that this mattered more than anything else in my life right now. By the time I reached the office parking lot, the sun was barely rising, and that's when I saw her, Miss Carmichael, standing outside in the rain, hair drenched, eyes red, looking like she hadn't slept at all. When Max barked, she spun around so fast she nearly lost her balance. "Max!" she screamed. He wriggled out of my arms and ran to her, jumping, whining, knocking into her legs like he was trying to tell her everything that happened. She dropped to her knees, hugging him so tightly I could feel the relief pouring out of her like a flood. Then she looked up at me, her face crumpled, not in anger, not in shock, but in pure gratitude. You found him," she whispered. I nodded, suddenly awkward, suddenly self-conscious. "Yeah, he was stuck behind—" I couldn't finish, because she stood up and walked toward me like she wasn't sure if she should run, cry, or hug me, and then she said the sentence that would replay in my head for months. "What reward do you want? A kiss, maybe?" She wasn't flirting, she wasn't joking. She said it with this strange mix of relief and desperation, like she felt she owed me something she couldn't possibly repay. I froze. My brain shut down. A kiss? From my terrifying, brilliant, impossible-to-read boss? I nearly forgot how to breathe. But kindness isn't a transaction. It doesn't ask for anything. So I said, "I don't want a reward. I'm just glad he's safe." She stared at me like she'd never seen that kind of answer before. "You spent all night looking." "In the storm." Her voice cracked. "Nathan, why?" "Because someone had to care. Because she mattered more than she let anyone know. Because kindness doesn't pick favorites." But all I said was, "You love him." That was enough. She bit her lip, fighting tears. "Most people wouldn't have done that." "Maybe," I said softly, "but maybe most people are kinder than we think. They just need a reason." She stepped forward then, slowly, and hugged me. Not a quick, polite hug. A full, shaking, emotional hug from someone who had finally found what their heart had been missing. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know what this means to me." After that day, everything changed. Not instantly, not magically, but steadily, like kindness working its way into the cracks of a broken wall. She treated people differently. She laughed more. She listened more. She even brought Max to the office sometimes, and every time he saw me, he'd run over like I was his favorite person on earth. And as for her, she became less of a storm and more of a sunrise, still strong, still bright, but warm in a way nobody expected. One afternoon, months later, she called me into her office. I thought I was in trouble. Old habits die hard, but instead she handed me a card. Inside was a simple message: "You reminded me that kindness still exists, and because of that, my world is better." That was the day I realized something important. Kindness isn't small, it isn't weak, it isn't forgotten. It's the single most powerful force we have, because it changes people from the inside out, and sometimes it changes the world around them too. So if you take anything from my story, let it be this: kindness matters, even when nobody sees it, even when nobody rewards it, even when it feels like you're the only one trying. Because sooner or later, kindness comes back. Maybe not as a kiss or reward, but as a moment that reminds someone that the world still has good in it. And sometimes that's enough to change everything. Spread kindness today. The world needs it more than ever.